Welcome to Bharata First. You're watching Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. First, let me inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. You have started international relations and Indian art and culture classes, along with several short courses, and they've had a phenomenal response. You too can be a part of this incredible journey. Go to our website, kc.bharatafirst.com, for more details and register now. The introductory offer ends in a few days on the 31st of July, so make full use of it. Well, since you're here, I would like to thank you for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter as well to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a daily Big Picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in Big Picture videos. If you like the content, do contribute to keep it alive. We need your support. The links are in the description of this video. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description. Please go through it. And now, on to the discussion. The Pegasus project, an investigation by an international media consortium, has revealed that more than 50,000 phone numbers were targeted by a spyware created by NSO Group, an Israeli software company. On the list were 300 verified phone numbers in India, including those of ministers, opposition leaders, a sitting judge, more than 40 journalists, and several activists and business persons. In this edition of Big Picture, we will analyze the Pegasus spyware controversy. Joining me on the program today are Jitin Jain, cyber technology expert, Suvimal Bhattacharjee, cyber security expert, and Poonam Agarwal, editor investigations at The Quint. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of Big Picture. All right, Suvimal, let me start the program with you first. Let's get into this issue. What are your thoughts? Because there's quite a bit of mudslinging happening, both from the opposition, from the government. Is it true? Is it not true? There are some who say that there is no smoke without fire. How do you look at this entire issue?
Well, I think, we have been anticipating that we might come to a stage one day where, our privacy issues will be far much more in focus. And, having worked almost 25 years in this sector, seeing right from the, internet coming to India till date, the gradual progression and then suddenly everything just going haywire, doesn't make it very surprising for me that something like this can happen. And definitely, as you said, there cannot be so much noise, if something wasn't there. Now, the question is, that what is the motive? Are they being done legally if that is happening? And this is something, this spyware based, you can say, snooping. This involves not only the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885, but also the Information Technology Act, amended 2008, where you have the provisions about how you could do the surveillance. It's something that worries, of course, me as an individual. It's something that worries me also as someone who follows this space. So I would think that we are at a point of time when we need to look at all these issues far much more closely. I feel that the government has to do a lot of very clear explanation rather than trying to say that nothing has happened. I think there is a method in which they can clarify whatever position they have. I don't think, when so many journalists, about 80 journalists from across the world who has worked on something as, big as this with so many numbers, maybe it might have been leaked, but then there is a reason that this has to be investigated. The other two countries have, France and Israel has also put an investigation. I don't think, sure, our government should stay away from that. So I would think we need to go into this far much more because it worries, the largest democracy if if citizens have a doubt in their mind that they are being snooped and all.
Absolutely. All right, Poonam Agrawal, let me bring you into the picture now. Since we are here, let's also talk about the magnitude of the issue, the magnitude of the snooping, and what kind of data is being mined.
To begin with, magnitude of snooping, we all know what kind of people are being spied upon: journalists, activists, politicians. Let me begin by saying that I am into this profession for long. It's been 16 years. So spying on journalists or politicians for that matter is not new. We have reported on Neera Radia tapes. There have been instances where journalists, activists, or politicians, they have been spied. What is new is the technology. The technology has changed, and we are now getting to know that there is no need of any law. Like as we know that in our country there is a law for tapping anybody's phone, you need permission from the government. The Ministry of Home Affairs will issue permission, and only after that you can tap anybody's phone. It is not a random affair. But in Pegasus, a person would not even know that he has been spied upon. So spying is not new, but the technology is new, and that is scary, because today anybody can infect my phone with malware without my knowledge. I would not even get to know, no matter what protection I have downloaded on my phone, antivirus or anything, it will still not give any protection. The worst thing is with this particular NSO group's Pegasus spyware is that there is no need of clicking on the malware. You just get the message and your phone is infected. So the magnitude, as far as the magnitude is concerned, this is very scary, and it can happen with anybody and nobody can stop it at the same time. I had a detailed conversation with some experts. They said that nothing can protect your smartphone with Pegasus spyware. And that is what is very scary. Now, the fact that you asked that is there any connection? That's what you asked the second question. Is there any connection between the government and Pegasus? Nobody can say for sure whether it will just be a hypothetical answer to that question, because government is denying. But if we look at the kind of people who have been targeted, the amount of money which is required on spying anybody, that all indicates that it cannot be done by an individual or a corporate. That hints towards the government, but at the same time, we do not have any evidence to prove that it is done by the government. Let me also tell you that what is happening, it should be taken to the court, because the democracy is at stake. So if at all government claims that it is not done by government, then certainly some foreign element is involved in it. So is foreign agency involved in spying so many phones, Indian phones? Why? That is a matter of inquiry. So the government should take it up with the right authority and clear the doubts that who is doing it. And our privacy is at stake. It's not anybody's. And Pegasus spyware is very dangerous. So if at all government claims that it is not done by them, then they should move to the court, open an inquiry, and find out who is behind it.
All right. Let me take both these aspects up. I'll take the court and the government aspect up with Shuvimal a little later. But before that, let me come to Jitin Jain. It's your domain, your expertise, Jitin, as far as technology is concerned. So why don't you throw some light on the technology that is being used, how it is being used, and how serious is the problem?
So there are many things, but to be very honest, since I come from this background and I have exposed 3 malwares operated by Pakistan, one from, I think, an actor we don't even know. And whatever is the capability of Pegasus has existed at least from last 6 years. Companies like Pegasus, others have existed. Hacking Team of Italy has existed. There are a couple of them operating in Europe. So this technology has always been there. The only thing what is different here, as Poonam rightly pointed out, is that there is no dependency on any operator or any user interaction here in the case of Pegasus, which makes it completely independent of any security cover, any telecom dependencies, anything what is installed by user, it will still go through. which makes it all the more dangerous and puts it into a weapon grade category. Now, because there is no interaction, there is absolutely no chance of detection. Even if you send it to a forensic lab, the standard protocols will not work. There will not be any app. There would not be any suspicious app downloaded from Google Play Store. There will not be any rogue APK from an untrusted source available in the form of app. There would not be any attachment you downloaded. There would not be any phishing mail. There would not be any suspicious message. And even if in this case, what they were saying that there would only be a missed call, and that missed call log would also get deleted. So this has become, I think, one of the finest epitomes of any, carrier infection. When you make a malware, the biggest question mark is the capability, detection, and then how do you deliver? Here, I think they have just surpassed everything. It is like having a supersonic aircraft in 1920s. So that is what we are looking at while your adversaries are, using some, old age planes and you have a supersonic aircraft. How do you defend? There is absolutely no cover available. Now, coming specifically to Pegasus, what has happened? Who used it? Who bought it? Who may have been the targets? If you look at the Citizen Lab reports, as an expert, I would say you can give that investigation 9 out of 10. Whatever SOPs was possible, they followed. Whatever could be innovated, they innovated that. Whatever could have been possibly tried, they tried that, and they had put it in a sequence which can be cross-verified, which can be checked by everyone. They have put it out in the form of evidence, in the form of sequence. So that report is very, very credible that there was a malware. It was linked to a company called Pegasus. It is a weapon grade category malware, and many journalists or politicians across the world have been infected. No doubt about it. Now, coming to the Washington Post reports and the report of consortium of journalists. Now, because they come from non-technical background, you see, in the field of cyber, detection of a malware is very, very difficult. Attribution to anyone is, in almost in the impossible category. The chances are 0.1 out of 100. If you are able to draw even smallest conclusion, that's great. But then they are not admissible in a court because there is no conclusive evidence. And this is what is happening here. Because journalists come from non-technical background, they thought that standard words like maybe, indicative of, are conclusive evidence, which is not. So then you look at the evidence, and then to say that there is a list which proves that this particular category of weapon has been used against 50,000 people. Now, how do you prove that? You start collecting samples. Now, in this case, sample set is very, very small, 67 mobiles, but that's fine because not many people will give. But out of 67, here comes the alarm bells. That I think 20 were found to be, I may be wrong, but 20 or 21 were found to be positive. 5 or 6 were found to be attempted to be infected. Others were found not infected. So in this case, false positives or false alarms are more than the results itself, which makes you question the quality of data. Is the data real? Is something has been added or subtracted? So unless and until Amnesty or Forbidden Stories provide the source of that list, because they are saying it is a leaked database. Now that every leak has some sort of credibility. This has come from the company or database administrator or somebody had it got leaked. There is absolutely no attribution that who may have leaked the database, where it may have come from, what it may have been a purpose. So in the absence of any authenticity of database, credibility of database, it has to be cross-verified in the great detail. And here is the problem, that extrapolation of results from 67 mobiles, at 50% results were wrong to 50,000 list has created a furor that this may not be true. And that is why now you see the course correction happening in all the media publications. Wire, Amnesty, now they are using the words indicative of, may have been target, but in the original report, they say everybody has been snooped upon. Now, last point I want to make, because it is an analog interjection, but very important to make. So question on the database is there. Second, why this furor? Because you say it is a government surveillance. Trampling upon freedom of speech, including privacy, trampling freedom of speech among journalists. Now, how do you blame government? Because NSO sells only and only to governments. How do you arrive at the conclusion? Because NSO website says it. Now, this company also says that our technology has never been used for human rights abuse or surveillance of journalists or human rights activists. So if you were to take them on face value, their statement, then you have to believe both. Since you very well know that the technology was used in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, many other journalists have been surveilled upon, human rights activists have been abused. So their statements cannot be trusted. So their statement that we have sold only to the government, that also cannot be trusted, Frank. They may have sold it to private operators. They may have sold it to many other government entities, state governments, foreign governments, state governments of foreign countries, foreign law enforcement agencies, because they are also saying that they have got 60 customers in 45 countries. So there are more than one customer in different countries, right? Third, which has never been spoken in Indian media, 3 years ago, NSO filed a case in Israeli court saying that an employee of us had stolen our data and he was selling the NSO code for $50,000. Now, so, this happens in cyber world. You steal the code, you revamp the malware, you send it to more customers. So that is why I believe that there is a strong possibility that there may be more than one player, 2 players, 3 players involved in the entire thing. It may not be government, because in a country like India, where every order for surveillance has to be approved by a competent authority, then even a Home Secretary of India has to approve. And even if he has turned rogue, there is another check that a cabinet secretary has to review every month.
Sure.
Now, I cannot believe that right from a DCP to commissioner to Home Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, then a minister, everybody has turned rogue in this country. And that is why a government agency doing this sort of massive unauthorized surveillance is unlikely. That is why it may be a private corporate house, it may be a private political party, it may be a private individual. And trust me, Frank, if we are to believe that Modi can spy on his own ministers, there is no way for us to not believe that Amrinder Singh can spy on Sidhu, Congress can spy on Rahul Gandhi can spy on Priyanka Gandhi. Everybody keeps an eye on each other. So we must investigate without any prejudice, without any color, without any blame, that it may not be government, it may be a state government, it may be a private company, there may be multiple players. So let's be very, very careful and let's investigate without any prejudice, without any blame.
Okay, points taken. Let me take those points forward now. Shubhamal Bhattacharya, who's going to investigate? Who's going to bell the cat? Do we have the technology to investigate as well? That is another big question. Like Jiten Jain has pointed out, it's very difficult to go to the source. So how are we going to get to the source, and whose onus is it, and where does the impetus lie?
Yeah, I think, a reference was made even to the courts and, of course, the government. And, Jiten is right about the factor about attribution, and that still remains the biggest unsolved problem in cyberspace. So as long as you are not able to correctly attribute, you can never go to a court of law as an evidence. Well, having said that, I would still think that even if NSO claims, and mind you, there is a case going on in the US where Facebook or rather WhatsApp had mentioned about NSO basically putting across the Pegasus through its network, and I think about 1,400 devices were there. The point is that in such a kind of a furor that has been created, where lot of people who have been thought of to have been targeted, there is a certain pattern that everyone tries to draw, or people are trying to think that it is somewhere except those 2 ministers in the current government. Rest of all others seem to be somewhere in a kind of an adversarial scenario as far as the government is concerned. Hence, public image builds up that obviously it has to be the government. But as Jiten has rightly said, that you cannot be sure that this can only remain with the central or government or someone with a lot of money, because it costs a lot of money to take that software. There are many criminal syndicates that operate with the help of Bitcoin, who can definitely pick something up. Question comes is, where is that pattern falling in? That is somebody outside of the government doing it. Hence, as I mentioned at the beginning, the investigations become very, very important, because if you do not investigate, then a doubt will always remain. A single doubt in a citizen's mind in a democracy is absolutely something that cannot be agreed to. Now the question comes is what you asked about, where is the technical competence here? I don't think it's always a measure of technical competency here. If an investigation happens and if a court calls for an investigation, if the government of India, with all its pulling powers, calls for an investigation, then whatever, relationship we have with Israel, and whatever that whole organization, the NSO group, as they call themselves, stands for, they are bound to, participate. They are bound to get into this, because our ITX jurisdiction doesn't only apply to this country. Here, it is a scenario where there are footprints that are maybe much not only confined to one country outside the country, but could be many other places where the mens rea might have been planted somewhere. It's being executed here. You never know. You have to investigate. That's what. And Israeli companies have been at the forefront of technology in many areas. There is always a fear that these technologies don't remain controlled. The Americans always have complained about, the Israelis picking up their technology or building up a technology and giving out here and there. So you cannot pinpoint it to one government based on, their statement. Hence, you have to involve them in our investigations in whichever form, whether a government request goes or a court request goes. I think we have enough laws in this country to be able to, get them as part of the whole investigative exercise.
Absolutely. So now coming back to you now, let's talk about something that you mentioned in your opening remark about is there anything at all in all the investigations that have taken place in what the experts are saying that points to the government or that points to the establishment in any way? And what kind of a clarification has the government given on this, if any?
See, the government has obviously claimed that they have no role in it. But of course, the names that we have so far has surfaced clearly indicates towards the government. All names are like journalists who have, the Wire journalists who have been spied upon. And we all know that Wire is considered to be anti-establishment digital media. Now, the other people like Ashok Lavasa, who is a former election commissioner, we all know that he had written a dissent note during the elections or Lok Sabha elections against Prime Minister Modi. We all know that other people who've been, named in this particular spying, they are in some manner anti-establishment. So, of course, the fact is that there is no doubt that these people are anti-establishment who have been targeted, including some BJP ministers. But again, that would not be enough to prove that it is being done by the government, right? But the point is not that. The point is, whoever has done, we need to know. If government has not done, then the government, it is required, as it is being told by Mr. Bhattacharya, that nobody is stopping government from approaching Israel government and asking them to assist Indian government in finding out who are the people who ordered NSO. And let me also point out here that NSO group claims that they use this technology only to find out or spy upon terrorists and terrorist organization. Come on. We all know that terrorists will not use one smartphone for communication. They will not keep a permanent phone number for their communication. What are they talking about? The moral ground that they are taking, that they only spy upon terrorists and terrorist organization, doesn't stand at all. And secondly, when they have data of all these people who were targeted, the users who have been targeted, they of course have the data with them. Nowhere will it hint that they are terrorists. So when they know for a fact that people who have been targeted by them on somebody's order, they are not terrorists, they are some activist, politician or journalist, then why they continue doing the job? So these are the facts, on which the government, Indian government, should take up with the Israeli government and ask that we have not done it, who is doing it, we need to know. An inquiry should be set up. So of course, till now we haven't heard of any such initiative taken by the government. But again, this, as I said in my opening remark as well, that Pegasus spyware is a big danger. It's a danger which has no solution. Not many people know about the profiling. In fact, Citizen Lab is the only lab probably which has got few mobile phones which were targeted by Pegasus. The worst thing about which maybe Mr. Jain will be able to explain further. The worst thing about Pegasus is that they use vulnerabilities of different applications and they keep updating themselves and their malware and the method of injecting phones. So that is even more scarier, because even if today we crack their modus operandi, like in this case, what we have heard that they infected the phone through iMessage of Apple.
Sure.
Earlier they did with WhatsApp. You don't know what they will use next. So this is never ending. So if we really need some solution, in that case, only government of India can do it. As
Absolutely.
an individual, we cannot do anything about it. If we want to live a private life, then the only way is to do away with phones and internet and laptop, which is again just not possible.
Noted.
Privacy is totally compromised. Now, where it ends is the question.
Noted. Points noted. Let me go across for a quick closing comment from Jitin Jain on the best way forward.
Look, Frank, honestly speaking, there is very, very little all of us can do to protect ourselves. Because you see, even giants which have been bullying the world, like Google, Apple, they have not been able to do a catch up with NSO. NSO has proven to be far, far more technically superior in a way finding and breaching even the updated versions of OS. Forget about the miscall thing which WhatsApp discovered a couple of years ago, or all the security patches Apple gave in last 6 months. It has been now seen that they are able to infect new iPhones, the version 14.2 as latest as of June in 2021. So to give any sort of tips, what we usually give that don't click on this, don't download, don't attend a call from a suspicious person, don't give OTP, nothing would work in this case. I think so. Then you have got two options left. What best can the operating systems do, both Android and iOS? That means Google and Apple and Microsoft. What best course of alternate they can provide? Can they have some sort of sandboxing in every mobile phone where no memory will interact with other? If they do it, what will be the impact on the working of operating system, cross communication of apps? But then now there has to be a balance that even if some features had to go to safeguard the ultimate privacy of all the users across the world, somebody has to take a call. So I think the ultimate responsibility lies with now the OS manufacturers. Third, very little the governments can do. That you probably cannot predict and stop what will come in the future, but at least whatever you have known, those domains, those IP addresses, you can block on the Indian gateways or the gateways across the world to at least protect the further exfiltration of data who have been already compromised. So this is the very least we can do as a society to protect our own people. Fourth, I think everyone who got infected has a right. And I don't think they are in a position to enforce the right to defend themselves. Somebody has to speak up for them. Somebody has to, do something so that no further infections take place. You can't wait for these political parties to keep fighting and then, have halabala in parliament and then come together on the table, because you have seen, CBI wanted to file a charge sheet in Karnataka where they found 30 politicians were surveilled upon by Kumaraswamy government by putting their numbers in a list of smugglers and terrorists and criminals, so that they can just skip the eye and somebody would sign. And the Congress government, Kumaraswamy government, did not give sanction for the charge sheet, even not that the BJP government gave the sanction. So I think Hammam mein sare rajneta nange hain, sare ek saath hain. They don't care what happens. As long as they are okay, the world can go to hell. So I agree with Poonam and Subimal that we need an investigation. At the same time, we also expect from opposition that stop blaming government or agency A, B, or C. Because if you do that, real culprit, if they are a private sector or private operator or a political party, they'll be laughing that we got away while these people fought. We need to bring everybody to book. We need to find the real culprit and we need to make them accountable, and we need to have a process of law taking its course.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, what's coming out of this discussion is that the Pegasus spyware is a serious problem. Snooping is not a new thing, but the way it is being done by the NSO group is scary. It is like something we have never seen before and is far ahead of its time, like a supersonic jet in the early 1900s. There is very little that we can do when tech giants like Apple and Google themselves are helpless against the spyware, and that is what is extremely worrying. The onus is on the operating system manufacturers to develop some kind of a security net against the spyware. Also, the government needs to deal with it from a G2G level and speak to Israel and try to get to the bottom of it, because we, the people of this country and the world, deserve to know the truth and deserve to know what exactly is going on. Well, before I go, let me once again inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. We have started international relations and Indian art and culture classes, and they've had a phenomenal response. You too can be a part of this incredible journey, because we've got so much more to offer at the Knowledge Center, and it will really help you. Go to our website, kc.bharatafirst.com, for more details and register now. The introductory offer ends soon on the 31st of July, so this is your last chance to avail of this incredible offer. Now, since you're here, I would like to thank you once again for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a big picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in big picture videos. For those of you who like this content and want to keep it going, please contribute. The links are in the description. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it. That's it from me. See you again next time.